place for crazy people. I'm not crazy, 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 crazy.
Hello, my name is John Storm, and I am a first-generation MKUltra survivor, meaning I survived this stuff since I was born in summer of 1953. And the purpose of this particular video is to help you, those of you who may be former MKUltras, former MK Monarchs, or any of the other programs that fall under those umbrella groups, or you just may be a targeted individual that's basically just a lab rat, someone whom they picked out to experiment on without your consent, without your permission, oftentimes without your knowledge. You represent empirical data to them every time you go to the doctor or the clinic, and they can access your files. In this particular video, I want to show you how you can protect yourself. First of all, you have to learn to document everything that happens to you. Get copies of your medical records. When you're into the doctor and you've been in more than 1 or 2 visits, there's a file on you, and you can get a copy of the file. You have a right to the copy of that file. When you go in to get an MRI, I went and I got a copy of the disc of the MRI. It's a whole disc. It's not just a snapshot. I'm going to show you later on. This is the actual disc from the hospital, as such. Trying to get it so you can read it and you can see that this is the real deal. That's my name down there on the bottom. This is the hospital I had it through. It's the one they issue. You have a right to that. Either you or your insurance has paid for this. I also keep a file of all my medical records. These are like old records. In there, I have copies of all this. I'm going to go to a screen sharing mode and show some files and some pictures later on as we go. I'm checking down on the monitor to see where we're at there. I'm not looking at you all the time here. But you got to learn to keep a portfolio, something you can haul around with you. To keep those files in, keep them current. Because if you're like me and you're an MKUltra, files disappear. They get oftentimes deleted, sometimes even before you quit that particular doctor. You move out of state or out of the city and you go to another doctor, and the file no longer exists. The new doctor goes back and asks to request your medical records from your old doctor, and they're not there. So you got to learn to carry those things with you, because they have a tendency, for all the wonderful stuff about the 21st century and high tech, you think this stuff could get transferred immediately. I've had, in the last 8 months, since stuff started happening, I had a nice little 9-month reprieve staying at my daughter's, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she just went totally nuts. I ended up getting, you think it can't happen to you, where you're disabled. You're documented as disabled. You're on Social Security disability. And the police come and take you out of your bed, take you 2 cities away, and put you out into the middle of a New Hampshire blizzard with no resources. All right, your own family instigates this, the cops do this, the judge does it. He doesn't want to listen to any of your testimony, just the testimony against you. I got mugshot show, big purple bruise down the right side of my head, all of that. You think you're covered, and you're not. And you need to learn how to document this stuff, to keep a track of it. Some of it that I show you will not be stuff that's like admissible in court. But look, when they try to brand you as being a psychiatric patient, or your word against theirs, well, we're trained professionals in that, you need to have records that you can show, you can share with friends, share with your lawyer, whatever, to show that you are not crazy. There is substance to your claims, and there's ways to go about proving it. For one, a lot of times, there are nice little implements. We got here is a nice little digital voice recorder. I don't like this one so much. I use this one mostly for when I'm doing paranormal studies. You do what they call an EVP session. You just press the little record button and you record what's going on, and sometimes there's little voices that your ears don't pick up, and it comes out on this, and it's kind of nice. You can stick it in your little shirt pocket. Well, the pockets are down here on this. This is a set of hospital scrubs. Another neat little way of carrying your medical record with you. Got a dog tag here, but I have another dog tag, and it's got a little USB slot in it. And in this, it's carrying all my information. We're going to show a picture of that, or a screenshot of the information. This has some of it I had to kind of block out for ID theft purposes. Can't let you get my Social Security and all my vital information. Some of it I don't mind you having. Some of it, well, I produce some discs for later after I die or they finally get me. It's not like they're not trying, all right? But you have to cover yourself, all right? Or they're going to say all kinds of things, and it's just going to be your word against theirs, and you need people to know. In this case, I'm putting it out on a public venue. Some of this stuff I even share on my Facebook page. Friends know. Somebody's going to claim something happened to me and I can't speak for myself. I've already had 2 strokes and a number of things. You can still see a little bit of the sagging on the left side of my face from the strokes that I've had. And I've documented those, even on my passport photos and other things. My personal favorite is this little, it looks like a little thumb drive, little USB thing. It charges itself when you plug it into your laptop or anything. But you'll notice, let me close that up. My hands are trembling a lot. I get tremors. It's part of some of the stuff that's going on with me. But you'll notice there's a little switch on the side. This doesn't play back. It just records. You turn the little switch to the on position, and you see this little light start to flash. All right, when that light's through flashing, after about 10 seconds, it'll record everything that's going on, or everything you're saying. We're going to play a couple clips of some of these recordings later. We'll go to a screen sharing mode, and I'll pull them up and show you what it's doing. But we turn it off, the light goes on, it's saving the file. And we'll just be plugging that in the USB port later. I'll pull up the screen share mode, and we'll play this back to show. This is really handy. You stick it in, turn it on. You're sitting in the waiting room. The doctor calls you in. You go in to sit in the exam room just discreetly. You don't tell anybody anything, because otherwise, if you do, they won't say a word around you. You want to record. I've had doctors tell me, I never said that. And it's kind of like, I'm wondering after a while if I'm really half as dumb or flipping out or blacking out. I do have blackouts. But usually when I'm very lucid like this, I remember absolutely everything that ever happened to me ever. I have an eidetic memory. So I get suspicious, and it's like, all right, I started recording my doctor's appointment. I go in to see my pharmacist about my meds. Well, as it turns out, the pharmacy got hacked no less than 5 times before I changed pharmacies. My name, my address is in there. Sometimes my address gets zipped back to the one in New Hampshire. I'm in Boca Raton right now and been here since January. But it'll go back to a doctor that I seen only once while I was back there. Everything else from then on has been erased or deleted. They don't know what my meds are. They don't know what my statistics are or anything else like that. Insurance, and I have to show them over again. The same has been happening to my primary care physician. Turned out he knew about it but didn't care. He was a part of the ploy. Happened to my neurologist, happens to my endocrinologist. So there's a reason why you want to keep a file. This is even password protected. I'll show you later. On you, paper files of everything that you could get. If you get an MRI, get the disc file, get a copy of x-rays, because there's oftentimes stuff on there they don't want to talk about. Another neat little device from my days of paranormal studies is a K2 meter. All right. Oftentimes it's just for recording an electromagnetic field. If I bring up this, this is my MacBook. All right. So if I put it here and I bring this K2 meter down here near the, I'm trying to get it where we can copy it. All right. You notice in some of the activity, it's picking up the EM field. Whoops. Trying to get it where we can see it. Picking up the EM field from the laptop. It's not a big one, you know, but there's stuff there. There's an electromagnetic field happening, and it's picking up on some of it. Some of you talk about getting microwaved, and that we're going to show a little sequence later of how that works in a room with a microwave or with Wi-Fi and what it picks up. Normally, in a ghost study, you turn out the lights, you turn off the power. There's no electricity running through the area, and when this thing lights up, you know you got a spirit or an electromagnetic field in the room. And it's like you are an electromagnetic field. That's your, we've described this in another video on the same channel. Next is a Mel meter. I'm going to turn this baby on. Come on, turn on. All right, go to the Gauss, and this also records, you know, it's also for ghost busting and stuff like that. You know, if you've seen some of my videos, Samhain Ritual and that, you're seeing it's picking up. There's a 0.001. It's like there's some electromagnet. As I get it closer to the camera, you see the temperature. Sometimes the temperature drops when there's spooks and stuff like that. It will also pick up the electromagnetic field. Trying not to make a mess here. All right, but we've got some numbers coming up on the screen because it's close to an electromagnetic field, being this particular electrical appliance or the laptop as we go. 0.27 we're at now. Well, it went down. It's good for picking up paranormal stuff for ghosts, but it's also for when they're beaming beam weapons and stuff like that into your room. Now, if you're standing in the middle of the room and this thing is going off, or the K2 meter is lighting up, all right, you document it. You got a webcam on your video at least. You know, you can say, okay, today is it's August 14th. It's Sunday. It's 1:34 in the afternoon as I'm recording, and I'm feeling a headache or I'm not feeling good, and I'm taking out my equipment and I'm testing, and bam, this thing lights up like crazy. We'll show you what it looks like when it lights up later. And let me show you something else. Of all the things that I had, most of my wizard's bag and all that got left in my home in New Hampshire, what used to be my home, before my daughter put me out into a blizzard. And you think, well, that can't happen. This is my favorite daughter. It's my eldest child. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she turns into this crazed, psychotic bitch. I don't know if it's substance abuse, if it's mental illness, or it's something she's been put through by the spooks at MKULTRA, because believe me, those of us that survived it survived some of the greatest, most insidious minds in the field of psychiatry, psychology, and neurology of the 20th and 21st century. If you don't think your head don't get screwed around sometimes, you're wrong. And it's some of the most diabolical minds in the world have done this to you. It happens. This is not paranoia. This is documented fact. In some of my earlier videos, and actually other videos and documentaries that have even been done on the History Channel, name some of these people, some of what they've done. They don't tell you everything, but this is still picking up the numbers. But this is just a silver ring. I just took it off my finger a minute ago. Oops, trying to get it so you can see the little pentagram on it. It's a charged item. All right, it's occultly charged. Witchcraft. I'm a witch. What do you expect? Now, I left my whole wizard's bag, my athame, my swords, and all of those are also charged items. They have a field. This don't have any batteries or a transmitter in it, but whoops, let's get this away from each other. Let's get it back to where you can read it. We're down around, we're picking up from the camera now. Let's get it back a ways. There's stuff going on in the room right now. It's at 0.05, 0.02. All right, we're back down to 0 again. All right, and I take this up and I put it back near the, you see the numbers all of a sudden jump? That's because this is an occultic thing. If you were going around on a paranormal study looking for ghosts or haunted items, this is what you take and this is what would register it. But like I say, at the same time, some of your problems aren't paranormal. They are simply, these guys are beaming in psychotronic weapons and stuff. If you've heard any of our interviews with Solaris Raven, she happens to be quite an expert with psychotronic weapons and stuff. She documents a lot of this stuff. She's got a book out. In fact, I even have that here. Nice little thing to kind of keep up on. You know, if you believe you might be a part of these programs and stuff that are giving you the problems. Another thing I've done, you can take those files, you can save them to audio, save them to 32 gigabyte thumb drive. The problem is these files corrupt rather easily and rather quickly. What I did for my own benefit is, all right, I'm a first generation MKUltra. I took 4 data DVDs and I burned them. 1C, 1A, 1A, 1B, 1B. There's information on each one. Basically, there's close to, there's about 4 gigabytes, a little over 4 gigabytes on each disk. So altogether, there's a bit over 16 gigabytes of information. Some of this information I'll be sharing with you today, but this is to go out as it is upon the advent of my death. They have been trying to knock me off. I can prove it. Can prove it like several different ways from Sunday. And we're going to get on to a little screen sharing part here. I'll show you some of that, the DVD with the MRIs, kind of walk you through a little bit of that, and then we'll move on to the JPEGs and the screen sharing. So I'm going to cut this off right about here, and we'll move on. Okay, here we are. This is the software for my MRI directly from the hospital. There's the hospital, the address on it. Now, a lot of people will say, you know, I've posted some of the JPEGs that will allow you to take a little snapshot of the individual MRIs. When they take an MRI, it's, you know, if your doctor prints you out one slice, there's a whole lot that he's not showing you. So getting them to print out just a slide of pictures is really not good enough. You need the whole thing. Now you see my little cursor here, we're going to view the images. So it's going to load up the images now. We got this on full screen capture. What's happening here? I need to bring that down. What's happening? Okay. Evidently, we're supposed to be running, and it's not running. What happened? I'm going to have to cut some of this. Okay, well, view images. And it's not viewing. Okay, something got corrupted here. Oh, okay, I agree. All right, we got a problem with it. All right, data card systems. Got to load up. This takes a while because there's a lot of information on this. There we go. Storm. Display. Down here you'll see each of these tabs. Each of those is a whole different section of MRIs here. This is the first one loaded, so it's not all loaded up yet. We got a lot of information here, just in case you happen to be one of the people that I had sent a copy of the disc. What we're looking is from the bottom up slices. You'll notice here that the arrow, it says R, L, R, and L. So this is the right side, and this is the left side. So you're not looking from the top down. or it would be the other way. You're looking from the bottom up. And we're looking at my jaw, which we seem to have a little bit of deformity going on here. Notice it's not exactly symmetrical. There's something going on here. And when you zoom in on these doggone things, there's some other little tiny white things down in here too. Now what's happening? We got, it's still loading up down here. Coronal post, flare axials, these are the different angles that the MRIs were taken. So each of these represents like one of these where you could do this slice by slice. All right, now in this one, notice the abscesses in my jaw. See where there's entire, like huge holes? All right, you can even see it on this side here. All right, same deal. These large holes in around my teeth and my jaw. There's a reason why these things happen like this. For one, I had some severe ketoacidosis, and that caused some problems. For two, you ever hear of those little cyanide capsules in the mole kit and in the molars? Well, if you break one of those, it's hydrogen cyanide. And if you just happen to live through it, like spitting it out and everything like that and rinsing it as well as you can, what's in there will undermine your jaw, and your teeth. It'll create these huge abscesses. Now we got pictures come up here, so that's all loaded up. All right, let's get on here, and if we click on it and we just kind of pull the cursor down, I'm right clicking, we can kind of see some things happening here. Okay, let's back up. This is really hard to do because just the tiniest little movement. We got, these are obviously my eyes, my nose. This is the right side of my brain. Remember, we're looking from the bottom up. It's just a slice. It's not like a full x-ray where something at the top of my skull is going to show up. But we got an interesting little item here and an interesting little item here. And notice these are the optic nerves that come back from my eyeballs. And there's a little something there, and it kind of goes back to the brain. Now, when I tell you I'm a remote viewer, now most of you understand that the right side of your brain is your intuition functions. We got a little something here interesting, a little black spot. One here where the optic nerves join. Actually, a couple dots there where the optic nerves join. But back here is where your brain processes everything you see. And you'll notice that the right side is considerably more developed than the left side. This is where I get the intuition for the remote viewing. So what I see and how my brain processes what I'm seeing is a bit different than what the average person sees. Most of you are left brain dominant. The schools and that have trained you to be. But let's try to move on another slice or so here. This is a high contrast. This is where they had put dye in my bloodstream. And used it to kind of measure some things, but I'm trying to go through. There's some interesting stuff here. This is up near the top of my skull. All right, somewhere down by the eyes. You start to see, oh man, we're going too fast, too far, too fast. You start to see some rather interesting things start to show up. We're going too doggone fast. Let's try this one. All right, this one's not a high whoa, wait a minute. See, wait. This is where it would get kind of interesting here. We're going too fast. There's some dots in here. There's a sequence of dots. You can begin to see them in this. 1, 2, 3. Now, you'll notice where the bone is actually the brighter stuff. Cheekbones. We're looking at the bone in the bottom of the orbits of the eyes, bones and cartilage in the nose. We got a couple little interesting little things up in there and around here. Another little dot here. 1, 2, 3. But if we get another slice up or down, now let's see, we got this white dot. We have one near the left ear. Now a lot of ultras and targeted individuals have this particular implant. But this one here, look at the nerves coming down from the eyes and right where it ends, right there. Nice little piece of nanotechnology. and it goes back, and basically it intercepts everything I see before my brain even gets a chance to translate it by nanoseconds. But there's more besides this that just goes beyond believable. And I'm trying to get, there we go, the right slice. It's hard to do as you move the cursor of the mouse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and number 8. There's a better view of this. I got some JPEGs. The reason I'm showing you this straight off the software is because the average shill, the federal shills, love to get on the thing and say, oh, that's just been photoshopped. This you cannot Photoshop. All right, this is the hospital software, the original stuff. You see, here's my name, my birth date, the date that the thing was taken, at where we are on the splines. We can go this little bit by bit. There's a lot of interesting things as we go. There's another angle I wanted to show you. These are little hollows and stuff going on in my brain. Some of this stuff is easily explainable, and some of this stuff is like, you gotta be kidding. All right, let's check this one. All right, let me tell you a story about what people believe, what they make you think you believe, or what they make you think you see. When I was about 5 years old, we lived in Riverside, California. Trying to remember, it was on Randolph Street, just around the corner from Terrace Elementary School. It was back around 1958. I'm in my bedroom, and these little gray aliens come in. Now, this is the 1950s. Nobody heard of little gray aliens. All the stuff you've seen in the sci-fi and on the movies was something different entirely than this. So this was not the kind of sci-fi that your average 5-year-old in the 1950s in suburban California would think up. All right, there was about 3 of them, I believe, and I was a bit scared, but I was more fascinated and curious than scared. They kind of paralyzed me, and then they levitated me up off the bed, and they just kind of levitated me out the window. They did not open the window first. It remained closed. I could remember feeling the coolness of the glass as it passed through me, or I passed through it. We get out into the backyard. There's a beam of light coming down from what looks like your typical flying saucer, and up I go into it. And these little gray guys got me on a like an exam table with lights and everything, and they got this long piece of metal with a little triangular thingy on the end of it that they stick up my nose. And I can remember when they got it past a certain point, the little crunching sound that I could hear in my head, and it kind of made my eyes water. But otherwise, they were assuring me that this would not hurt me. So the next morning, I wake up and I have the most ferocious nosebleed of my short little life. Back then, the doctors made house calls, and the doctor came and had to do everything he could to stop the nose bleeding. It's kind of like, what did you do? Were you picking your nose or something and bust something? And it's kind of like, no. And I told them the story about the little gray guys. And they said, well, the boy has a very vivid imagination, and he just kind of dreamt this up. It was a dream. And for most of my life, I had back then, around the same time, I had 3 encounters that I can remember with gray aliens. One was in the school playground, at the far end of the school playground at Terrace Elementary School, just around the corner from my house. The other one was in the garage of that house. I'm trying to remember the address. Was it 8745 or 4587? I can't remember. Randolph Street. It's like 5 houses down from the corner. On the right-hand side of the street as you're going across the corner. Right across the street was like Glendale Avenue, but that was mostly open field beyond the first house there back then in those days. My bedroom was in the back left-hand corner of the house where this had happened. So all of this time, I had remembered this, but I was told it was just a dream, a vivid dream from a vivid imagination, and I believed it up until the point that I got this. You see this little cursor here with the pages on it going around this area there? That's the object I saw them put up my nose like 60 years before. Not quite 60. 55, somewhere thereabouts, before this MRI was taken. If we move forward a bit, let's see, we can get a see if we can get a better take. There's a nice, there we go. We got a nice cursor there. We got this V-shaped object right here. That's the triangular thingy they shove up my nose. And there it is in my head. Some other interesting things here. Back of my eyeballs, the nervous system going back there. Somewhere in the line here, we're going to see we're going to see the little white dots start showing up. These are areas, like I say, here's the bone of my skull. Notice how bright it is, and notice how bright these objects are. So there's something in there, something solid, not gray matter. It's something solid. Solid, about the size of a BB, or maybe a little bigger. This is smaller than my head. But we got these objects here. Now let's keep going just a little slice more. Now we got a couple very thick items here. That could be parts of the shelf of my skull. But there's something in there, in fact. Look at that. Right there. Nice, perfectly round something. All right. You have people talking about implants. We don't always know. We got a little something going on here too. All right, and then we got the little bright areas. So we got dark areas, we got bright areas. Some of them we can kind of expect due to the structure of the brain and the skull. But let's go on here. Here we got, this is like the back of my head and the back of my neck. There's something in the back of my neck, all right, in base of my skull, back of my neck. As we go, it gets bigger. There's a lot of stuff going on in there. We're starting to see the brain and everything. Now we got the bottom part of the eyes. You can see the eyes and the nose up there. This is a different scan or from a different frequency. As we're going, we got, this is the dye or the radioactive dye that they put in my bloodstream to take these pictures. But when we got the report, the doctor spoke about all the things that were not there, that were not visible in this. We got another one of this here behind the left here. That one we expected. This little thing I expected. Being an MK Ultra, just about all of us got something very similar. I always figured it was something like the trachea or something like that. I'm not sure. That's just an hypothesis. And then we get on, and then we're starting to see more and more of the brain as we start to get up into it. Notice how much the right-hand side is developed as compared to the left-hand side. So, and this back part, like I say, is where your vision is translated. So you could imagine that what I see or what I envision when I'm looking through my eyeballs is quite a bit different than what you see. There's more information there processed right brain rather than just simply left. Here we go is another picture, another axis of the front. And if we go step by step, we start seeing a little something starting to solidify. We're getting deeper into the eyeballs here. And something start to solidify. And I'm trying not to go too fast. There it is. There is another angle of our little V-shaped triangular object. The little gray guy shoved up my nose that for all these years I could have sworn was just a dream from a kid with a vivid imagination. But there it is. But there's more besides. There's not just the stuff that is superficial at the ends and the outside of my brain. There's stuff hidden deep within that you couldn't operate on today without killing me. We got some very interesting information kind of coming up there. A lot of people got this little butterfly thing kind of going in the middle of their brain. So that's not just me. That's where the hemispheres meet, the two hemispheres, but there's stuff in the middle kind of going on. Now we do have some interesting objects. I'm hoping to get to it. There's a big teardrop shaped object. Looks like a big teardrop shaped pearl in the middle of my brain, and it's not visible on this one. Let's go to this one. Let's get here. What do we got? What can we see? The dye on this one just kind of makes things just impossible to see. Let's go with this. I don't know how this works here. Okay. Here we are. Look at this. We got real interesting little thing. I'm trying to remember if this is from what side of this we're going from here. Trying to, oops, it's not responding. It's quitting on me. Oh, darn. I'm going to have to go back to showing you the JPEGs because this isn't working well with even my screen capture software. Alrighty. All right, let's start. We wanted to talk a little bit about this, about some of the tools of our trade here. This is the 8 gigabyte mini digital spy recorder. I mean, it sounds corny as hell. It's like, look, I only paid $7.99 for the thing. You saw an example of that. We're gonna plug this puppy in right now, and we're gonna pull up this PC, and there it is. It's coming up. We click on that, on record, on voice. Everything that's going on, or everything you're saying. We're going to play a couple of clips of some of these recordings later. We'll go to screen sharing mode, and I'll pull them up and show you what it's doing. This is right off the recorder. Turn it off. Okay, so we know that thing works. Let's go back down here and let's unplug this thing here. Eject the technology. Okay, we'll pull that puppy out of there and not have to worry about it. Okay, so you understand my little spy recorder. We need these, unfortunately. It's like, look, the NSA, the CIA is recording every one of your emails, every one of your phone calls, and everything else. But they tell you you can't record them. You can't record cops beating the hell out of people and shooting unarmed suspects while they're handcuffed on the sidewalk and all this other kind of stuff. But it's like this. Don't sit down at a crooked poker table and play by the dealer's crooked rules. You'll never win. You'll never break even. All right, so you're going to have to just approach this thing as it is and not how you'd like it to be. I got some samples here. A lot of times, like, oh, let me show you the eMed tag. I was telling you about a particular tag of mine. This, when my, oops, let's bring the zoom back down a little bit. Bring it down just a little bit here. Okay, this is my eMed tag. This is the information that's on it. It's got my name, email address, phone numbers, all this, who my doctors were, who my neurologist and endocrinologist and their phone numbers, my insurance. More importantly, medical information. It's kind of like, all right, when my medical files have been hacked, and I'm going to show you those, all right, on this. This is why I keep copies of all of this. It's like there has to be something. See, there's even my picture on there. So they get, if I'm unconscious, I got another stroke, they got me on a table and they don't know who the hell I am and what the deal is. And there's no uncorrupted medical file on me. There's this. And as you can see, this, let me zoom back out here a little bit. It has a login. It's password protected. It's not online. It's on my neck. All right. I can change it. I had to recently change. Ooh. I didn't on this one. Well, actually, this is an older picture in that. I'm not doing the Lantis anymore. I'm using something called Tujeo now as a longer run. There's the Novolog I use, the gabapentin 3 times daily, the Keppra 500 2 times daily, the lisinopril 20 milligrams daily, aspirin. Even that I'm a first generation MKULTRA survivor from 1953 to 1978. This is important information because when somebody gets to working on me, they're going to notice some really strange shit. All right, here's the medical concerns: diabetes, epilepsy, hypertension, seizure disorder, stroke, neuropathy, narcolepsy, cataplexy, disorder, brain encephalopathy, and the medical codes that go with it. These are off of my real medical files before they're hacked. I'm allergic to statins and bee stings. So we got a lot of information there to cover my ass if I find myself in an emergency situation. So you can trust the system or you can do something about it. Now there's times they're going to say, all right, perhaps Well, let me go to some other things. I wanted to show you some things. I did a copy and paste. I'm trying to find out where the hell it is on here. That's the Hillsborough attack. That's not what I'm looking for. Back up a minute. All right, let's try this. Side effects. All right, now in this, basically, I wrote a note, a letter to the physicians. It's like they're jerking me around. I'm telling them, look, I'm suffering from this drowsiness, from the confusion, and all this other kind of stuff. And all of these are side effects of the meds I've taken. I documented. Actually, an MD knows this, a pharmacist knows this, but I did a cut and paste. I wrote him a letter sincerely, and because at this point, the doctor is, to Dr. Katz, and I canceled the expensive session with Dr. Feldman, as the problems are not in my head, but in my meds. Dr. Snyder, you need to go and correct my medical file because apparently you know less about me than you did when I first come there. This document is to record side effects or explain or define my own problematic symptoms. Here's what I'm taking. Lantus, 80 units subdermal daily for type 2 diabetes. Applies to insulin, yada, yada, yada. Severity, major. You should check with your doctor. This is just cut and pasted from the pharmaceutical files online. And I'm not talking any, strange, wild-ass internet conspiracy stuff. I'm talking about from the pharmaceutical companies themselves, okay? All right, check with your doctor immediately if any of these side effects occur when taking insulin gargling. As the lists are extensive, I'm only listing the symptoms I've suffered to a noted degree: the anxiety, the blurred vision, the confusion, convulsions, seizures, difficulty with thinking. You've probably seen some of this in some of my earlier interviews with Dave Corso. It's like I'd lose words. I couldn't remember a word that I was looking for. Drowsiness. I sleep 12 to 14 hours on a normal day, okay? Excessive hunger, headache, restless sleep, shakiness, slurred speech. You've seen the shakiness in the early part of this. Unconsciousness. I've passed right out. Unusual tiredness or weakness. This is common for me, and it's been getting worse over the years. Novolog, insulin aspart. I'm wondering if that means like aspartame. For type 2 diabetes, sliding scale, all right. If any of the following side effects occur while taking insulin aspart, check with your doctor immediately. Anxious feeling, blurred vision, confusion, convulsions, seizures, depression. Of course, in my case, if you're not a little bit depressed of what's going on around you and what's happening to you, you got to be totally out of touch and in yaya land. I wish I had some weed to smoke to take away some of that for a little while. I mean, difficulty with thinking, dizziness, lightheadedness, drowsiness, all this restless sleep, the shakiness, short speech, tingling in hands, unconsciousness. Less common, increased thirst. I get a lot of that. Mood or mental changes. I don't let that bother me. Muscle cramps or pain, often. Unusual tiredness or weakness. Now here's the Keppra I take. 500 milligrams twice daily now. Anti-epileptic drug called an get emergency help, medical help. You have signs of allergic hives, difficulty breathing. Yeah, call your doctor at once if you have unusual changes in mood or behavior, being irritable or talkative, confusion, loss of balance or coordination, extreme drowsiness, feeling very weak or tired. I'm like this almost all the time. Problems with walking or movement. Deborah and Mitch can tell you there's times I got to hold on things when I'm walking around the house. It just hits me and I just got to hang on for dear life or fall down. All right, common Keppra side effects may include yada, 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 all this stuff that I've been complaining of. This is what's listed on my medical file, incidentally, as narcolepsy and cataplexy. But when I see the neurologist and he runs his tests, he cannot find a physical reason why the narcolepsy is there. So hence this guy's talking, well, we should, now he's got the file, he's got the drugs on file. We should send you to a psychiatrist. It might be a psychiatric problem. And you'll need some more drugs like Thorazine to calm you down because you're upset because I tell you, you got this. All right, gabapentin, here's my dosage. Commonly reported include fatigue, ataxia, dizziness, drowsiness, sedation, blurred vision, tremors, severity, major. Check with your doctor immediately if any of these side effects occur when taking it. Clumsiness, anxiety, concentration problems, yada, yada, yada. Suspiciousness or distrust. Well, I think I got every good reason for that. Chest pains, yeah, and it goes on to the whole list. Some of the side effects may not need medical attention, all right, and this is some of those that don't. All right, lisinopril once daily. Actually, I'm taking that twice daily now. Severity, major. Check with your doctor immediately if these side effects occur. Blurred vision, confusion, dizziness, unusual tiredness, so on. So it's all there. See, all the same stuff. All right, the same stuff I'm complaining about. Now they're trying to make it into something else. See, this is why I say you've got to keep records. You've got to even go so far as to record. Here's an interesting thing. My neurologist had me see this guy. Now let me set the stage. It's just a sample. I just kind of cut part of it where he steps out and he talks to my neurologist. They both have the same clinic or same office in the same clinic. He talks to my neurologist who's seen me a couple times. He's got a file of all these meds. All right, I've got a copy of it. So I know he knows that I'm taking these meds. And I'm insisting they're side effects, but what do I know? I'm not a doctor. Of course, they don't know that of my 3 degrees, 2 of them are doctorates. But just to show you how you get manipulated. This is why you'll want a little spy recorder or the other pocket digital recorder. Like I said, one's even less than $10, but you can protect your.
So normally the types of referrals that I get from the docs are for dementia and cognitive deficits to rule in or rule out some sort of brain-related problem. I just talked to Dr. Katzen, and I know he talked to you about the fact that he thought that there might be a psychological
there is some
component to this.
anxiety,
No, I don't.
Yeah, anxiety is a side effect.
I mean, that some of the seizures, the cataplexy, some of those things may be not caused by short circuits in the brain, but may be caused by what's called a psychogenic etiology, meaning it's caused by psychological factors and not necessarily by changes in the brain. And that can happen. And we see patients somewhat frequently where they think that they've got these problems and they manifest as physical problems. But
all right, so basically this guy's denying that the drugs or anything else has anything to do with it. It's all just in my head. All 5 of the drugs I take have these listed as serious side effects to contact your doctor immediately. And yet he wants me to go see a psychiatrist. I paid over $500 in co-pays last month for tests that have already been run on me before by other doctors, but of course those files got lost or deleted. I've got the paper files, but nobody's really interested in seeing that. They're interested in going on with their own little agenda. Does this sound like paranoia? Yes, it does. When you hear people talking like that, you think, okay, they're on the crazy train. They're paranoid. They're anything, but prove you're not. And it's up to you to prove you're not, because they're going to do everything in their power to prove that you are. And they don't even really have to prove it. All they have to do is it's their word against yours. So you have to protect yourself, or otherwise you're going to be pumped full of Thorazine and you'll never be able to talk to anybody rationally again, especially after you get addicted to that. You can't just stop that cold turkey either. So let's move on a little bit here. And I wanted to show you some of the MRIs. Let's see. Oh, no, doctor's files. Let me show you something. Here's proof that the doctor's files are hacked. This is the first page. All right. Now, every time you go in, every time I deal with the pharmacist or the doctors, they ask me my birth date. And I say 7/31/53, July 31st, 1953. Look it up here. Present date of encounter, February 12th, 2016. Patient is a 69-year-old male who presents a complaint here to establish with no date of birth, September 9th, 1946, 69 years old. Seizures, diabetes, cataplexy, and narcolepsy. These are the things I'm complaining about. The confusion, the times with the blackouts where I don't know what's going on. It's like my IQ drops about 60 points. The hypertension, that's the high blood pressure. The neuropathy, that's the pains and the tinglings and stuff I feel. CVA, I've had 2 strokes. All right. Here, now I've shown you when we were going through the oral cavity reveals normal lips, teeth, and gums, and oral mucosa. Now I've shown you the MRI, and you can see these big holes in my jaw, these big gaping abscesses in my jaw. Can you imagine what my teeth, or what's left of my teeth, look like? They're broken. The molar got cracked because I was grinding my teeth in my sleep, and it cracked the molar that had the cyanide in it. All right, I woke up with the strong taste of bitter almonds in my mouth, and knowing what that meant, though I completely forgot about the molar, I get up and I go washing my mouth out and spitting it, make sure I don't swallow none. But actually I have very poor dentition. All right, so his file's just kind of screwed up. Here's it's not like it happened the first time. Here's March 11th. All right, date of birth 9/9/46. They ask me when I come to the window, what's your birth date? 7/31/53. Patient is a 69-year-old male. All right, with great teeth and gums. Now, if I was laying unconscious on a table, would you know that's me? Or would you think, we got the wrong guy? All right, let's see if there's anything else on here. Let's see, hacked again. This is April 25th. Patient is a 69-year-old male. Date of birth, 9/9/1946. I was, born 7/31/53. At this is my proper e-tag. Oh, let's go through these. These are kind of fun. All right. You've seen that well enough on there. This is a couple of the other 2 implants. This is the back of my head and my left ear. You'll notice actually, let me blow this up a little bit because you're just seeing what's on my screen here. This is the left side. This is the right side. Like I said, there's 10 different groupings of this stuff. Now here, let's bring it up. All right, so we got a doctor that don't know what's going on in my brain or why some of these things are caused. But we got these evenly spaced dots. Look at this. Here, here, here. I got them zeroed out because I only thought there was the 6 when I originally looked at that. There's this here. And here is something that we've also seen from another angle before. This little round thing, the dark thing in my brain. Also a notice thing. Notice in the sinuses here. Notice all these little white dots like marbles collected inside there. Let's see if we can blow up a little bit more. See them here? This is located inside my sinuses. What they are, this is some kind of nanotechnology. These are actually rather large. These are small. That's probably close to the proper size of my head looking at this slice. Okay. Here we go. It's a better shot. You can see these things. Those are interesting. I never even marked those, but you got here, here, here. See the spacing? That's artificial. Now, when I went in for my disability case, they dragged this thing on for well over a year. Finally, it looks like I'm getting close to it. I got a neurologist. I didn't know at the time that this fool actually was trained at University of Rochester Medical Center, where I was processed as an MKULTRA. So he was a part of the problem. Though he come along, by the time he come along, I was already out of it. He's a fairly young fella. I quit in 1978. All right, and he's got a record that has almost nothing on it. All right, except that I'm taking the gabapentin and the Keppra, but not that I have seizures or anything going on, or that he did the MRIs. He completely denied the MRIs. I had 2 sets of them. Even the hospital denied. The lawyer subpoenaed it. The judge subpoenaed it. Nobody got it till I walked in and got it myself. And I showed you the discs earlier in this particular video. All right. And he, I bring it in and he says, well, all we got to do is look for the white spots. You don't need to be a neurologist. You got problems in your brain. You've had these strokes. You have these seizures. And all we got to do is look for the white spots in your brain. And we know, okay, there's a reason for this. We've seen thousands of MRIs and x-rays. there's the white spots for you. This doggone phone is ringing here, but that's, she's got that. All right, here's a better one. I'm really sorry for the phone. This is the implant near the left ear. This is the junction of the nerves coming back from my eyes. See the little thing going here? And here in the deep in the center of my brain. All right, let's move on. There's another shot of those points. Another shot of that. This was, I had calculated or done, and this was straight off of my glucose meter, the problems I was having. When I say I got uncontrolled diabetes, I mean it's like off the freaking charts. All right, and it's bad, and it's killing me. There's been times, this is what it was reading when I was living back in Watertown. And let me pop out of this for a second and show you. This is what I looked like with ketoacidosis. I lost a full third of my body weight before this was over. Now, after the situation was done, I had all the transfusions and that. This is what I keep snapping back to. I am an MKUltra. There's that Rockefeller eugenics kind of kicks in, the things they did to me to make me into this kind of fighter, warrior, whatever you want to call it. Here's another picture of me. See my face? See how old I look? But I don't look like that in the other one. See that? I look, you know, there's the age coming on, the hair turning white. Here it's turning back blonde again. And this was only taken just this last summer. Okay, the hair's coming back in blonde. That's natural. Look at this. What happened to me? Let's see. We got one. I don't know how well you can see this. There's an implant. See that little dark spot right there? That implant has been in my left hand since I was 8 years old. You know, so I document as much as I can. Here, for instance, this is my former passport. I put some blocks of stuff on there, so there's some things that you can't see that, you know, we don't have to worry about people stealing my ID or anything like this. But this was taken about 8 months after my last known stroke. Left side of my face is still sad. I thought I was smiling. I was quite happy about this thing. Let's zoom in just a little bit on that face. You notice here's my right eye. There's the smile starting, but on the left side, it's kind of sagging. Notice that the left eye and the left side of the face is sagging. That's from having, I had a stroke somewhere on the right part of my brain, actually about up in here. Let's see what else we got here that we can show you. This was my daughter and my grandsons took me to a museum, and look, I look like death warmed over. I look like you know, like I must be like 80, 90 years old, and this is what this disease has done to me. Now, at times they have put snake venom in my insulin. Sometimes it's just like sterile water or saline in my insulin, and I take a shot at night, and I keep a notebook on these things. I have to for my doctor's case. You know, what was your glucose reading? How many times a day you're testing? How many units of insulin are you taking? You know, you're supposed to be taking, and all that, and you record that. And I have it recorded on my book, where, you know, my glucose tested high before bed at night. I took the proper amount. It's a sliding scale. More if your sugar is higher, less if it's lower. And I took the appropriate amount of insulin, and probably even a couple units extra, because I noticed that it was unusually high all the time. So I took a couple of units extra. When I woke up the next morning and took my glucose test again, nothing was eaten or drinking that night. I went to bed, woke up the next morning. My glucose testing is 16 points higher than it was when I went to bed. And it's after a shot. So I kept the vial with a little bit of what was supposed to be insulin in it. It's just saline or sterile water. You have to document this stuff, or nobody's going to believe you. They're going to think, hey, this crap is all in your head. Here's another picture. You can notice the left side. Notice the sagging. It kind of droops a little bit. All right, that's part of the. We got some interesting stuff here. That's not so much here. Right side of the brain. This is where the strokes occurred. You know, you see the white spots on there? That's where the strokes occurred. Here you also can see the jaw, and look at how eaten away the jaw is. And this guy's got a thing that says my teeth and gums look normal and healthy and everything else. It's like, is this me? Is this me they're talking about? Here is a rather interesting thing deep in the center of my brain, this little pearl teardrop shaped thing. I talked about the little V-shaped object stuck up my nose by little gray aliens. There's a nice little blow up of that. There's a number of rather interesting things on this going on up in there. Let's see what else we got. Here's the one that I was trying to get before our software quit on me. You know, we see the little butterfly shaped part in the center of the brain. But look at this. Now this is almost actual size, a little large for my head. But see that teardrop shaped thing? That's in the center of my brain. It's like, how does something like that get in the center of your brain? This is, see how white the bone is? See how white that is? That is a hard object in the middle of my brain. If you had a tumor in there, they'd say it's inoperable. We can't get at it without killing them. How'd somebody get that in me? Actually, I got a good idea. Nanotechnology. I've got a lot of friends in this field. Oh, that's me knocking down a tree. There's videos of that you can see, and it's kind of like, well, you don't, you know, I'm up pushing 60 at this age here, and this is how, when we were out at camp, we'd get firewood, knock down a dead tree, and then bust it up into smaller chunks, and that would be our firewood. It's me busting it up into smaller chunks, picking up the log and smashing it against smaller trees. It's an apartment I had back in Watertown, New York, where my daughter came up and rescued me from this. I needed to go to assisted living. This is where I stayed while I was going through all the court and the trials with the disability board and all that other kind of stuff. I call it hotel dog shit. This is what she brought me to, and I had a bedroom in this lovely little place up in the mountains in Hillsboro. Very beautiful. I was quite happy. And look how healthy I'm looking. You know, taking walks out in the woods, and that's me. You know, when a bunch of witches get together and whatever, we do fairs and stuff like that. Here's a good before and after. That's me after critical care in Rochester in 2013. This is me after I regenerated probably 6 to 8 months later in Watertown, New York. You know, see how you know, everything kind of filled right back out. Let's see if we got anything else interesting in here. All right. Here's the MRI report. Now, originally, when I asked for the report for the MRIs that were taken, I had to go to the hospital personally. They denied on the phone. They denied to the judge. They denied to my lawyers that such ever happened. But my insurance did pay for it. So I got a record of this. And I go up and I ask for the report. And they hand me this in an envelope. They weren't going to give me the actual MRIs. This is what they gave me. And this is my note here in red. This report has a lot to say about what is not there. It says nothing at all about what is there. Very typical of a misinformation style report. Spooks. Dr. Mohidan, my neurology diploma, came from the University of Rochester Medical Campus, where Building 400 is located. But let me show you. This is from another, this is when this happened, when it ordered. I was 60 years old. Convulsions and that reason. There are no areas of abnormal signal intensity. There is no whatever hemorrhage, acute infarctions, mass, and there's no abnormal enhancement. You got to be kidding me. All right. The hippocampi are normal in signal intensity and size. The ventricular system and all that are consistent with minimal volume loss. There is no collection. Sinuses are clear. Impression, there is no intracranial lesion, minimal brain loss. As you get older, your brain loses volume. Apparently mine hasn't. But that's the record. So, I said I'd like the physical copy, and I had to go upstairs and I had to dominate another nurse to get the actual copy of that. Trying to see what else there is here. I showed you the doctor's files. These are all the reasons why you need to keep files on everything. When my doctor cut off my lisinopril, you don't stop at cold turkey. He even admitted as such. But even when I go to the pharmacy and I talk to the doctors there, pharmacists,
Storm, but it's probably not it. I don't know.
Notice they ask for
and
the.
I got a report in the phone number.
They've been trying all week to get my license.
31.
Wait, they've been trying all week to get my lisinopril, get my doctor to refill my prescription. I've been out. It's dangerous. Okay, but notice they also ask my birthday. They always ask my birthday. Doctor's office, pharmacy.
53.
They haven't responded yet.
And he probably won't. Yesterday I had to confront him about some issues with him and the stuff. And
Is he in the office today? I'll give him a call. I think give you a few. Are you out?
I'm out.
Holidays. Okay.
I'm out. And he knows it. I saw him yesterday morning. We had a big snafu about how basically I don't know what I'm talking about. And the pharmacy lied. They didn't call in and cancel or whatever, all this other kind of stuff. And I'm lying. And it's kind of like, okay, at this point you got a doctor who doesn't listen and just piddles around with you and passes you around for a lot of expensive tests. You know, part of the...
Yeah, well, I get on about exactly what's going on, talk to pharmacists. You try as you're going to make it known, exactly what's happening. I keep talking about Building 400, and this is what Building 400 looks like. This is in Rochester, New York, on the University of Rochester Medical Center campus. This is where the neurologist before last that took the MRIs is from. This is where he was trained, where some of the greatest psychological psychiatrists, psychologists, and neurologists have trained and done experimentation, illegal human experimentation on people. And that's recorded. You can get documentaries done by the History Channel on this because the Freedom of Information Act covers this. You won't find my name in particular, but you won't find much of anybody's names in particular. They try to keep that down to a minimum because people sue them for money that they'd rather spend, a couple $1 million on a missile to blow up some Arab in a $10 tent. But this is what you're facing with all of this stuff. I'm trying to see if there's anything interesting in here. There's the case of my daughter's. Here's the legal documents and stuff for the Hillsborough thing. See, I kept pictures. See, you can zoom in on them. If you got a digital camera, and look at this crap here. I'm going to zoom in on this a little bit because see, this never happened. Specifically, the defendant committed said abuse when she grabbed the plaintiff by the shirt and held his fist up close to her face, and she felt threatened that he would hit her. Credible threat. The court also finds the defendant's conduct. Now, the court never even looked at any of my stuff. I was defending myself. I supplied doctor's papers. I just supplied the name, dates, court of the issue where she says the family supposedly fled in fear of me. And the defendant physically abused her as a child and threatened to kill everyone in her family. This is malarkey. There is proof that this never happened, but he don't care. This guy ended up putting me out in the middle of a blizzard 2 cities away from where I lived, but I couldn't go back to where I lived. So I only had the clothes on my back, 2 laptops, which I had stored another city away, went to the police station where they originally brought me to. And I had to find some way to get from Manchester to Concord to Hillsborough to get my laptops, because I didn't have a phone, but I had my laptops. I could Skype, and I had friends that I could Skype on Facebook. Like I says, it pays to document everything you can. Even if they get bored with it, put photos in your album. At least it's there, all right? And it's recorded somewhere. Or make a YouTube video, a lot like I just did. Let's do Control F10 and see if we can switch off to close this. Evidently that's working, it's recording. All right, so like I say, the object of this thing is to find ways to protect yourself, to record, even if you're going into the pharmacist. I mean, weird stuff is going to happen. You tell people about that, you must be mistaken. You must be crazy. You've heard the neuropsychologists say, well, you know, sometimes people have these psychiatric problems. And it's like, I'm taking these meds. This is all documented. I have these meds. They're producing these results. Every one of them does. Every one of them says notify your doctor immediately. But what happens when you do? Well, I'm an ultra, and they specifically want to kill me. They don't really want to keep me alive to do more clinical tests or anything like that. They want to shut me up or get me into an institution where they can inject me full of Thorazine and then just shock the living hell out of me for their jollies. I know how crazy that sounds. I know how crazy all of this sounds. That's why it pays to document everything. Get copies of all of your medical files. Accept no excuses. Don't get upset where they got to get the security guards up there to pull you out. Just calmly and firmly assert that your insurance paid for this or you paid for this. You want a copy. You need a copy for your records. You got other doctors to see. You got to travel out of town. You want those copies. You're entitled to those copies. You don't really have to give them an excuse. They're yours. But if they want to insist and they want to jerk you around, and they do, some do, not everybody's in on this conspiracy thing. Some of these people genuinely don't know. Some of these people are genuinely incompetent. Some of these doctors are just genuinely greedy. They don't have nothing against you. They just want to make an extra buck. And that's all the hell they care about. They don't have any empathy or compassion. My doctor as much as said so. I got them on, it's not taped, but I got them recorded saying so. All right. And I got these files and I got them all set up in DVD disc. I was going to pull it up, but let's just kind of close this thing off before it gets too damn long. And, and they're out, and it's like, on the event of my death, you publish the whole thing. That's with my addresses, my social security number, all that information, the doctor's names, all of it. It's kind of like, these are the people responsible for the torture and possibly even my murder as we go. Let me pause this a second. See this book. I want to show you something. All right, we're back recording. I want to show you. This is my notebook that I keep for when I take my meds. Now, on the evening of April 23rd at 9 p.m., that's not the best example. Jesus. Okay, sorry for that. I'll have to edit some of this out. All right, here we are. This is May 9:45 p.m. My blood glucose was 161. I took 42 units, it says L, that Blantus, and 3 units of Novolog. That's the sliding scale. I don't know if you can see that, but that's up here about where my finger is here. Now, we get down below that. My writing is kind of probably hard to see, but I just need to show you that I documented it. Now, the next morning, headaches, heartburn, diarrhea, all night sneezing, etc. At 8:30 in the morning, my blood glucose is 226. I took all of those shots before bed at night. Nothing to eat. I'm at 161. I took 42 units, 3 units. Woke up 226. Got question marks after that. I took 28 units of Lantus and another 6 units of Novolog. It wasn't doing anything for me. Basically, the insulin that I had wasn't insulin. Now, before that, a few years back, I had like 6 vials of Novolin N is what they were giving me at the time, and 3 of them had snake venom in them. 1 I had already used half up. But this is why it pays to document. Otherwise, you're going to have these new age Twinkies talking about you were killed off with black magic, or, you know, the Illuminati, and it's kind of like, yes, the Illuminati is real. Yes, they do use some of that stuff. But what they really use, what they have plenty of, the NSA and everybody is monitoring everything. It's not for your own good. It has never been for your own good. It has been for their good, for them to do what they want. When people talk about things like Hillary, we got a long list of people that all suddenly suicided, were murdered, or any number of things, just died suddenly after reporting some infraction or some felony that she was known to be involved in. All right, the same with a number of things. We got these holistic doctors dying all over the place. We're all targeted individuals. Some of us are targeted because we're speaking out, and they don't want this. They don't want to go straight. They don't want to be tried. You know, they've got control of everything. But you need to document for yourself. Your friends need to know. You need to know. Your family needs to know. And a lot of times, family's just going to try to dish you and let's talk about something else. What's the sports score? Important shit like, oh, nice weather we're having. Oh, those aren't chemtrails, those are contrails. It's kind of like when you get up in the morning on a winter morning and you start breathing and the vapor comes out. Do you leave a trail all the way to work that lasts all day? You know, it pays to document. So I'm going to let this go. This is John Storm signing out. I really hope you take my advice, and good luck to you. I really mean it.